Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to see you today. My name is Dustin Cormier. Today you're watching an episode of How to Rock Astrology. In particular, we're going to be discussing what it's like when you have the moon in Libra and Venus in Aries. This in particular we're going to be talking about is a difficult placement, although it's not as difficult as the conjunction of Libra moon with Libra Venus. We have Libra moon opposite Venus and Aries, and this is what's called an opposition. The Western astrology already sees this as being a negative aspect, but in my opinion, it's not quite for the right clear reasons. In Vedic astrology, we consider that any aspect can be good or bad, depending on the friendship of the planets involved. So an opposition is not necessarily a bad thing by Vedic astrology reckoning. What's difficult about this placement is that the moon is an enemy to Venus. And so this is going to reduce this Venus's ability to be receptive and to be a proper partner, because there's a selfish intent on the moon's part to serve in the particular way that Libra moon does. The moon is a more primary, essentially the reason why this is because the moon is a more primary aspect of our emotions and of our emotional ego. And so we will always take what we need first instinctively, and it will always bump Venus in particular, because the moon is an enemy to Venus. Our needs are more primary with regards to the moon being opposite Venus, and it will reflect as an emotional instability, an emotional desire to do something, which gets in the way of actually listening to the partner. We're going to talk about that as we get into it. But before we do, I have a little intro that I've been saying in every one of these videos. And it's going to put in perspective what the sun, the symbolism of the sun is as it relates to Venus and the moon. You might have enjoyed my series where I talked about the sun and Mars, and I often talked about the sun as the king of the kingdom. Now, if the sun is the king, then the moon is the queen. What exactly does this mean? Essentially, the king is still the essential nature, the ruler of the roost, per se. It's the essential nature of ourselves that we're looking to unfold, and that's there. But we can only unfold it through the given synapse, the given realistic limited earth reality of our moon sign. I often say that the moon floats around the earth. So our moon nature comes from what happens to us through our early childhood psychology and programming, etc. So the moon, if the sun is the king, the moon is the queen. And the queen kind of, in a way, it exacts or refines, or, is the refined expression of the sun. It's the expression of our sun that we're actually capable of, and it's limited. The moon is a crescent sliver of our sun's inner nature. It is our earthly subconscious whose sign, house, and aspects reveal the form that our sun energy must subside through. So this is like the classic husband and wife duality within us, and it's kind of like, the husband is what he is. And he's refined by his wife, who gives a rhythm and a healthy, realistic ceiling for the sun's potentials, at least when the moon is working properly. You got to consider, no matter what your gender is or what you identify as, that everybody has a anima and an animus. We have a reflective and outgoing nature within all of us. It's the yin and the yang of the Ajna chakra. So the husband is what he is. The sun, the king, is what he is. But when the moon is working properly, the sun can actually confer what the sun can realistically do so it can live an appropriate earth life when it's working properly. What do I mean by that? Well, so, the husband looks at his wife and says, you know what, honey? I'm really feeling like I'm feeling like a big hunk, a big slice of blueberry pie. And the wife says, honey, you know what that's going to do to your blood sugar. Now, the husband can listen to his wife or not. If you have a good moon, you're going to listen to that. You're going to listen to that moon because that is an essential part of your nature. And you will suffer if you ignore it. And you could ignore it if you have an ill moon, if you don't give a damn about your actual realistic limits in life. But without the moon, without a proper sense of your moon, you're not going to know what you actually want in life. You're going to just blindly act on the nature that's within you, but you're not going to know who you are, the type of life that you want to live outside of what you do, right? If we didn't need to eat, because the moon is like, it's revolving around the earth. It's our earthly needs. Now, if we didn't need to eat, if we didn't need to sleep, if we didn't need to have sex, and if we didn't need to enjoy friendship, if there was no concept of time, then we would just infinitely express our sun. But that's not the case. Like the moon is like the life that we live, like it's like at night. The sun is what we do in the afternoon, in the peak of the midday. It's what we are doing. But the moon is like what we are. It's the life that we're building around what we do. At night, when we come home, we want to hang out with our friends, our lover. It's our subjective fulfillment, right? That fuels us. So, if we didn't need to eat and sleep and have sex and enjoy friendship, we would infinitely express our sun, but that's not the case. We need to eat. We need to sleep. We need to have sex to a general degree. So the moon is that dimension of us which actually has an appendage that we can really reach others through, and that others have to reach us through, our sun nature through. So if anybody wants to get in the king's personal quarters, they must do so through the queen, i.e. the moon. Venus is the sun's self-enjoyment style. Venus is how we express affection. It's the sun's outgoing desire. But whatever Venus attracts is subject to the subconscious reaction complex of the moon. So, what does this mean in terms of a Libra moon with Aries Venus? Well, as we said, we can definitely see that this opposition is going to be a huge part of how this nature of this person unfolds. Having an opposition like this is never a good thing for the moon and Venus in particular, because as I said, the moon is an enemy to Venus, and the moon is going to overtake what Venus is trying to do. And this is pretty obvious. We can see pretty clearly how this is going to work out. Venus in Aries is kind of like independent. It enjoys any expression of independence that it can apply, as well as competitiveness, having an edge, showing that we've got some kind of independent, competitive edge in some regard. So if Venus wants this kind of independence and to be appreciated for doing her own thing, for initiating things, for initiating what the other person, what are we going to do in a relationship? Venus in Aries wants to initiate them. Venus in Aries just finds out wonderful things. It's constantly seeking new types of music, of what's going on in the city and the town around it. That's the new thing that they want to be able to seek themselves, this cool hot thing, or like what's going on in the news with the world that's like interesting, and to be able to talk with their partner about this and kind of to be they want to enjoy that in themselves. Now, the moon in Libra is not really, it doesn't cater to this independent nature, essentially. The moon in Libra, now you got to understand that this is a more primal nature in you, and you're not going to get along well. Try as you might, you're not going to let go of this need for the moon nature inside yourself through moon in Libra. Now, the moon in Libra is actually a very fickle place for the moon. It's not the best place. The reason is because the moon is right next door to its debilitation point in Scorpio. And as I often say, exaltation and debilitation are a matter of proximity, not sign. So don't think you're out of the woods just because your moon's in Libra and not Scorpio. It's still close to Scorpio where the moon is debilitated. Now, what happens when the moon is debilitated? Well, we know that when the moon is exalted in Taurus, it is lending itself to what the relationship needs. And it's vibing, it enjoys the security of what the relationship mutually needs. When the moon is closer to Scorpio, there's an instinct to be kind of selfish about it. It's kind of like, ironically, it's the moon in Libra, which means that you are a serviceful person. You want to be receptive to your partner's needs, and you kind of even want to you want to intuit it. You want to catch it before your partner even asks you for something. You want to pride yourself on being somebody who is listening to what the other partner's needs are, and to feel like romantically, like they value the same things that you do, and that you're on kind of the same wavelength. So as a moon in Libra person, you're a social butterfly in certain ways, but you're not the moon in Sagittarius likes to be able to talk to everybody for the sake of talking to everybody. The moon in Libra likes to talk to everybody for the sake of connecting with those people who particularly vibe very well with the moon in Libra person. So you have a nature inside yourself, which is this reflective thing. You want people to appreciate how you listen, the fact that you're listening to them, the fact that you're thinking about what they want. Moon in Libra will actually ask, what do you want for your birthday? What do you want for Christmas? Just tell me, and you only got to tell me a few times or whatever, because eventually I'm going to start thinking on my own of what you would want for your birthday or for Christmas or for whatever it is. So the moon in Libra aims to please in this way. But because it's so close to Scorpio, it can have it. What happens with moon in Libra is that the emotional need to serve is stronger than the service itself, which is kind of an odd thing. It's like when somebody wants so badly to serve you, then your partner might just be going through a list of okay, what do I got to start giving you to do to serve me with? They feel pressured to give you what you need to survive, which is feeling like you can listen and serve and reciprocate and be useful and practically useful, but also emotionally. You want to be treasured for your subjective lens of life and for your ability to cater to the other person's their bliss in life. The problem is that with the moon in Libra, your desire to be their bliss is sometimes it's self-serving. It's like you want to be that person's special all. And it kind of is basically how it comes off, is that you do the service that you do for this person in order to secure your relationship, but that, you actually might not listen entirely to what the other person wants, or really even what your own Venus wants. That's really where this is kind of coming from. And of course, you're a Venus in Aries person. So you will put out there that you are independent, especially when you first meet a person. But you will be winking, saying, I'm looking for a long-term devoted partner. That's what moon in Libra wants. It wants its other half. And it approaches everything under the auspices that I either have a partner already and I'm enjoying outside of it, or I'm looking for another half. And while you're looking for this other half, the Venus in Aries is way out front, displaying an independence, a competitiveness, an enjoyment of sensuality and seductiveness, and the energy of being an attractive, flirtatious person. And the Venus in Aries is even a little bit competitive. Now, typically, Venus in Aries is not really a bad place. It's neutral, and it's close to Pisces. So the Venus in Aries is good at knowing what it wants because it's close to Pisces. Pisces is like the self in one, which is the self in all, and it's the self. It's your enjoyment. So Venus being in Aries still knows like how to get out its own self enjoyment. And that's a great thing. And when you are by yourself, you're probably going to entertain yourself very well. The problem is that the moon in Libra desires so hard. It is constantly thinking about being of service and being a good, loyal partner to somebody special, that it's almost upset that this emotional need in me stops me from having the fun of being Venus in Aries. The emotional need of the moon in Libra stops you from enjoying being the seductive, competitively erotic, romantic, fun, independent person. This outgoing person who's enjoys going out and talking in society with people and making much ado about your skills and the things and adventures that you've gone on in your life and all these things. And the Venus in Aries in you wants to do that. And if there's no other afflictions to Venus, I mean, the moon is afflicted to Venus here, but if your Venus is delighted by Mercury, if it has a welcoming aspect from Saturn, then this Venus will be grounded enough that it finds the enjoyment of its Venus and Aries nature in things outside the partnership. Through Saturn, it'll be like your job. Through Mercury, it'll be some kind of recreational hobby. These things will delight the Venus, and you'll find that independent expression so that the moon in Libra in you, your desire and need to completely be at the service of your partner, doesn't bum you out. But generally speaking, you know, when periods related to the moon happen, when Saturn goes over your moon, or when Saturn goes over your Venus, there's going to be a contradiction and a conflict between your Libra moon's desire to completely surrender yourself to your ability to understand the needs of your partner, to anticipate the needs of your partner. That's what Moon in Libra wants to do. And you will put your own enjoyment of your independence on the sideline in order to be able to listen to your partner. Now, what happens really with this is that, you know, like you're the type of person who will kind of show the frustration that it took you to be on call for your lover. It's like you're pissed at it, but you do it, and you don't want your partner to be pissed about the fact that you're pissed at it. This is just how this works with this particular combination. Is you're going to express a frustration at your need to be accountable and to, again, anticipate your partner, but at the same time, you know that you need it. You know that you want to be appreciated and needed for this. So what's going to happen is really you're going to be going between phases of dependence and independence in your relationship. And whenever you become too dependent through the moon, you're eventually, Venus is going to just tell you that, like, you got to start doing things for yourself. And what you'll end up doing is doing things for yourself, and then you'll feel insecure at the moon level because you probably started whatever relationship that you started with the caveat that you will be of service and full surrender to your partner no matter what. And now you and your partner might even feel a little bit stifled by this because your partner knows your Venus in Aries. Your partner will sense it, and they will sense the aggravation that you feel by being on call, even though you're saying, I don't want that to change. The only way, really, when Venus and the moon has a difficult interchange like this is really to meditate. That's my spiritual understanding of the matter. Essentially, if you can find ways of unlocking, find ways of tapping into your own moon, your own deepest emotional needs from what you were as a child, your parents, what you enjoyed when you were very young, and try to find ways to secure that moon in Libra's need to be needed by other people through other people than your partner. It's like you got to develop a spider web where, the partner might be the center now, but ideally your partner should be close to the center. And really, that's okay if they are. It's the moon and Libra thing. But you need to have pinions and points outside of the partner to take your focus off of your desperate need for constant security all the time with your partner. And the Venus in Aries is going to be brash about it. Geez, when was the last time we even hung out and did something like that? Huh? It's going to be like that. And then your partner's going to be like, oh, okay. And then the moon in Libra is going to be like, just kidding, honey. Just kidding. But think about it, but just kidding. And then the partner's like, okay, we'll go on a date some night. I guess that needs to happen. This kind of contradicting language can come through you. What you need to do in this situation, if it's really badly afflicted on your moon, especially if your moon is malefic, it's past the full moon phase, and if it is generally just healthy in the chart, or unhealthy rather, it's got ill aspects otherwise, then you need to start confronting your emotional issues in the situation. Once you can develop your own personal sense of emotional security within the relationship, but also outside of it, then you will start to develop the security that you need to not feel so bitter about the service that you lend to your partner. Ultimately, I don't think you're going to change the fact that you want your partner to appreciate your receptiveness and doing things for them. That's an essential part of who you are. What you need to do is meditate and find some kind of release valve emotionally within yourself to let go of the dependence from within yourself. That's probably the best advice that I could give you. If you want more, maybe feel free to leave a comment and I'll do the best I can. So with all this being said, this has already been a long video, but I expected it to be because it's this important opposition aspect. So from here, let's talk about, we've talked about the esoteric side of this opposition. Let's talk about it from Erotic Astrology by Phyllis Vega. The first thing we're going to talk about is just the erotic bed-making nature of the moon in Libra, of lovemaking. Excuse me. With the moon in Libra, your approach to lovemaking is glamorous and alluring to others. You appreciate the intricate rituals of old-fashioned courtship, and you enjoy being wooed with finesse and sophistication. And you really hope that your partner is going to express some kind of really showing that they care about you and that they put effort and time into what they're doing for you. And with the Venus in Aries, it's almost like competitive. You're almost going to be oh, wow, you're doing this for me last time? Wow, last time you did something nice for me. You only gave me, you bought me a ticket to the movies, but now you're getting this for me? Wow, you're really doing it. And then your partner's like, good, I'm glad. I hope that this doesn't keep revving up into infinity. Whereas the next time they might feel bad from that, next time it's She said that the smaller gift, she said going to the movies was lame compared to the bigger gift. So should I not go to the movies now? Like, do I need to keep upping myself? And you might unconsciously perpetuate that. This is something that you got to keep in mind. You should learn to be happy with a simple level of competitive expressions of displays of affection from your partner. You could just make it infinitely desirous of more and more and more. And if you approach this properly, you can make it deeply satisfying for you and your partner. At some level, you might feel like it's never enough. But if you're intelligent about this situation, you will, the moon is adaptable. And your moon is supposed to be adaptable enough to accept the limits of what your partner can give you and accept it. And accept a realistic, practical pattern and cycle for what your partner can do, while still keeping it juicy and exciting, because that's what Venus and Aries kind of does need, or does deeply enjoy, is ultimately keeping things rolling and exciting and new and changing and challenging, just not to the point where your partner feels like they have to jump through hoops in order to keep you, right? Sex and romance are intertwined in your mind, and you prefer artful seduction to a carnal free-for-all. It's the moon in Libra. Although, the Venus and Aries can probably just sort of enjoy more of a romp for the sake of a romp. Ultimately, though, even if you get caught up in that and you're doing that a lot, you probably won't be satisfied if you don't feel secure with a partner at a stable level. With a partner who is artful and who is actually showing care for you. So the luxurious bedding, the sultry nightwear, soft music, flickering candles, fresh flowers, these all add the requisite spice to your lovemaking. A special night dedicated to love in a romantic setting with moonlight and whispered words of adoration serve as a genuine turn-on, and affectionate gestures and loving words draw out your passions and get your sexual juices flowing. So essentially what this kind of comes down to, really what sucks about this is that like Venus and Aries can actually be kinky. Venus and Aries likes to be spendthrift and kind of just like kind of like a buddy. It's like your best buddy who can just kind of laugh and just be kind of like, oh, fuck, man, did you see that? Like laughing at people or a movie where something kind of goes wrong or stupid. Or Venus and Aries loves to be able to shoot from the hip and even to just talk about things in other people's relationships, that, or even your own relationship. Venus and Aries can be healthy if it's applied where you like to talk about your own relationship. But the moon in Libra will cause you to not want to ruffle feathers, and you'll just stop yourself from saying certain things where you don't know how your other partner's going to take it. So your partner will probably have an experience of seeing you just purse your lips and trying not to speak your mind because you feel insecure emotionally at the moon level of whether your partner really deeply is that securely stable and solid with you. And you don't want to offend the partner as a moon in Libra, but you do want to have the freedom to be spicy and risky even, and this is a contradiction that can be frustrating. Ultimately, though, the moon in Libra does need this lovely situation, a romantic walk, looking at the stars, talking about what, did you expect that you'd be here at 32 years old? Like, what did you want to be when you grew up, when you were younger? Talking about all that sweet philosophical stuff, watching the stars. With the moon, with the Venus Aries, it'll be full of sparks of like, oh yeah, oh, you're into that, huh? Like this fun, sexy sort of consciousness. And even brash. Like, I didn't know you'd be the type. I didn't peg you for that. Like that kind of fun brashness. But usually the moon in Libra will probably really want to know the person very well before they get too much into that brashness. Now, that was Moon in Libra with a little bit of my interpretation of the Venus and Aries spiced in there. Now we're going to read the same reading, Erotic Astrology from Phyllis Vega. We're going to talk about the Moon in Libra in combination with Venus and Aries. The romantic charms of your Moon in Libra are enhanced by the strong sensuality of Venus and Aries. Sensual, earthy, just needs to have some friction and needs to feel like a hot sexual energy. Although, again, how this is always going to work out, the moon is the primary one. The moon in Libra is a little bit too touchy, kind of perfectionist-ish and refined. It doesn't like things to be too brutish. The Venus and Aries in you will understand this about yourself and will be bummed out by it. This is just a weird part of the nature of who you are. The the moon in Libra will always kind of ruin what is essentially the strong sensuality of Venus and Aries in some ways. But ultimately, though, the romantic charms of Moon in Libra are enhanced by the strong sensuality of Venus and Aries. And this makes you an alluring, enthusiastic, and passionate lover who's listening and receptive, but is passionate when you finally make it happen. You often find yourself trying to choose between independence and the comfortable feeling of being half a couple. Initially, love may be a little more than a game to you, during which you flirt with playful abandon, probably with, as Moon in Libra is a social butterfly, and daring Venus and Aries just likes to kind of flirt with everybody and be loved and accepted by everybody. But eventually, you'll feel compelled to settle down into a pleasant, long-term union. Once involved, you'll throw yourself into the task of creating a charming, balanced atmosphere with graceful, harmonious surroundings where love can thrive. Moon in Libra is certainly good at doing that kind of thing. And it will always be a brash, spunky, funky consciousness that exists within that essentially nice, reciprocating personality. And no matter how you dice it or slice it, a combination like this can always, every combination can make for some juicy sort of like lovemaking. And this one in particular can be romantic and charming and sentimental, but still have a fun, juicy, and engaging side. It won't ever really get too kinky, too rock and roll as Venus and Aries would want it to be, because the Moon in Libra is just a little bit too instinctively insecure about the emotional, sentimental connection with the person. But do yourself a favor. Make your moon as solid as you can so that you can explore and enjoy these kinky things in a way, or these fun, brash ways of being with your lover that you might not have felt secure about. But you try to gain that security first in order that you can expand both of these. I hope this helps. I hope this helps you guys. And this is a fun reading. I'm Dustin Cormier for How to Rock Astrology. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this. This is a long video. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion and perspective on how I laid this out. Let me know in the comments if you liked it or whatever, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of whatever I do.